This is a light-forsaken land, isn't it? You can barely even see the sun. This howling wind cuts to the bone and you're not even shaking. My lord, are you all right?
Captain, are all my forces accounted for?
Nearly. There are only a few ships.
Very well. Our first priority is to set up a base camp with proper defenses. There's no telling what's waiting for us out there in the shadows.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to Let's Play Warcraft 3. We've landed on the icy continent of Northrend. I'm actually going to throw up the World of Warcraft map based on the Warcraft 3 map, which you see during the loading screens, but you only see it in a really fragmented fashion. I'm just going to do that to illuminate the geography that we're working with a little bit, since it's referenced a lot. And so if you kind of fall behind on where all of the characters are moving and when, it makes it a little bit harder to keep up. So we worked our way north when we were in the Eastern Kingdoms. We've gone by boat to an Arctic continent known as Northrend here, where we get this really nice new tile set. And Medivh has been insisting this whole time, Medivh the Prophet, that Thrall of the Orc Horde and King Tyrannus and Jaina and all them, and Archmage Antonidas, bring the humans and the orcs and whatnot west to the continent of Kalimdor, all the way across the sea, where there's this enormous maelstrom going by the WoW map. And it is a vast expanse of sea that he wants everyone to cross due to some vague but looming threat. But everyone here is preoccupied with the plague and the undead. So Hearthglen, Anderhall, Stratholme, all of these northern cities in the Eastern Kingdom that we kind of tore our way through, that whole northern region of the continent of the Eastern Kingdoms becomes known as the Plague Lands as of World of Warcraft due to the events of this game. And I don't think I have use for that mana potion since I'm already kind of 6-slotted. I don't really want to give anything up for it.
Ah, a gold mine. We'll set up our base there. We're under attack. Take cover.
Bloody hell. You're not undead. You're all alive.
Muradin? Muradin Bronzebeard, is that you?
Damn, boy. I never imagined that you'd be the one to come to our rescue.
Rescue? Muradin, I didn't even know you were here.
Oh, just the same, lad. I could use your help. My mates and I were attacked and we got separated. I'd appreciate any backup you could give me.
Of course I'll help Muradin. Let's move.
Hey, you know, somebody left a comment saying that this game's voice acting is a lot better than what they expected for a game from this era.
I'm here to help.
And I think I would have to agree. I've never really given Warcraft 3 its due on that front. It's like one of the very few things I feel like I've overlooked in praising about this game and just admiring for all these years. But it's quite solid. And there aren't a lot of voices that are overly familiar either. There are a couple of like early aughts staples in here, but I don't know. It doesn't have what you would typically consider like an all-star voice cast, but the voice actors that they got are so solid. Oh, they're gonna come in and force us back a little bit. There's a couple of necromancers. Let's pull this peasant back so we don't lose one. We can resume building that farm later. By the way, the voice for Arthas in this game is a dude named Justin Gross. He never reprised his role as Arthas, even in World of Warcraft or like any of the projects they did afterwards, after Warcraft 3. And the reason that he gave is that they did offer to have him reprise the role. They did approach him, but they offered what he put it as an embarrassingly low amount of money to reprise his role. And what that figure is, nobody will ever know, but Blizzard is pretty loaded, so I don't know. It's hard with that context to know what is embarrassingly low. For like, this is World of Warcraft at its peak, by the way, when it had like I think around 12, maybe 13 million active players. Around the beginning of Wrath of the Lich King. Either way, that's why Justin Gross never came back to reprise his role as Arthas. I think we're going to leave a secondary squad of units back here in town, because I think we will get attacked 1 or 2 more times. There is a manual of health. It's quite nice. If only Collision was nicer to us. We'll just give that to Muradin. So Muradin is our third and final hero for the human race. He is a Mountain King. He's another strength hero, like Arthas. Oh, hold on. Alright. The recording is fine. Woo! Made me sweat for a second. I don't know why my fingers did that, but I went over unconsciously to Alt-Tab out. I was worried that screwed up the recording, but no, we're good. We're all good. Gonna build that lumber mill, get some more prereqs going, and there's also an upgrade at the lumber mill that will let us harvest lumber faster. Also, the last ability, we have not talked about that ability at all. We've kind of seen Resurrection in action, the ultimate, Holy Light, Devotion Aura, all that. We know what's good on that front. That is Divine Shield. So you're familiar with the Bubble Hearth thing in WoW? That's where that comes from. It just gives Arthas immunity for the duration. It's a self-buff. So I think I was talking about the Mountain King. The kit for the Mountain King includes Stormbolt, which is an insanely valuable utility spell. It's a disable. It can be used against grounded or air targets, so it's nice on the anti-air front, especially because we're lacking a little bit of that right now. It hits really hard. It interrupts channeling spells. It's just a very useful lockdown and burst damage spell. He's also got Thunderclap, which is an AoE damage that a spell that also applies Daze, which is a movement speed slowing effect, a debuff.
That's them, and they're still under attack from the undead.
Let's move, men. Those dwarves need help.
Right, so, the tower is automatically targeting the backline healer. Oh, I don't like that. I have to keep microing him back a little bit. All right, now we should be good. He's also got Bash, the Mountain King does, which is passive that adds a chance to stun enemies when he hits them with melee attacks. And his ultimate is Avatar, which we will be getting in a little bit. Just need a little bit more XP on him. Oop. Well, we have Resurrect. Definitely want to keep that Priest. Especially since there are only one right now. And this mission's not going to go too terribly long to justify teching up to an Arcane Sanctum and really massing a couple more Priests. What we're aiming to do is to connect the two bases. Once we get up there, the gray base will turn white, which means we will have control over it. Or rather, it'll turn white on the mini-map, indicating that it's something we can control. The team color will be blue, indicating that it is ours. Everything will be linked up, all harmonious-like. We'll get that lumber upgrade just in case. We have a surplus of gold right now. Oh, I didn't finish explaining how the ultimate works for the Mountain King. It really just, it enlarges him and turns him into a walking tank. It's just a big buff to him. So he's tanky in a lot of ways to lock stuff down, but being strength-based, he's a bit mana restricted, so you can't easily spam a lot of his stuff. But that means that he works really well in conjunction with Brilliance aura provided by the Archmage heroes.
Is there danger?
Unfortunately, we don't have access to Jaina or her amazing aura. We're keeping the priest back. It's really smart by the AI. Oh, whoops. Oh, well, we'll just shift-click that and make sure he finishes the farm later. I meant to shift-click him to construct a farm after the one he's currently doing.
A sound plan.
Now, with this base liberated, we get access to a new unit type as well. The steam engine back there, that big tank. It's another siege unit, along with the mortar team that we got. We can now produce those steam tanks from the workshop, along with the gyrocopters. So we have this second unit group we left back at base to defend, and now our primary expedition force with Arthas and Muradin. We're going to link them up now, since we have no base in between our two bases, and now we're going to go finish off the mission. Oh, son of a bitch. I hope that guard tower finishes. This lone footman is going to be such a hero. Do I need... Yeah. Really, all these dudes need to do is buy time for these two unit groups to get back. Oh, I'm pissed. It's going to get out of hand, though, because they do have a couple of necromancers with them. Ah, well. I mean, we'll keep producing a couple of footmen and a couple of riflemen. And they'll just hold things off until... Ah, there we go. Everyone gets back. I could afford a base race at this point, but just why? Why take the chance? So before... I made a distinction while going through that spiel. This is the first mission where we actually come up against this specific unit type, or this, I guess, this whole classification of units. We're introduced here to flying units, like our gyrocopter here, and the gargoyles that we fought. Oh, actually, no, you know, we did see some flying units before. They were neutral creeps. In Mission 1 or 2, when we went and killed the Dragon Cyranox for that flame orb that's currently in position 1 in the inventory. You'll remember only the riflemen could hit the dragons, so you need ranged units or other air units to hit flying units. There are also ways to snare them. We don't have access to any of those right now, but there are ways that we'll find later on to snare flying units, so you can bring your melee units into the fight. And also, there are some air units that are only good against other air units. I really like how slowly we've been introduced to all of these concepts too. Oh god, this fight is fucking cool. And we're finally starting to lose some units too, which is a good indication of how much this is ramping up. Now the Holy Light off on that Necromancer, which is quite nice. Still have that priest back there who's doing pretty well. He's gonna take care of the defensive structures. This is obviously supposed to be like an avenue to slowly get you acclimated to how RTSs work and all the things unique to Warcraft 3. Like it's an extended tutorial kind of, and so you can have some idea when you jump into matches against other real human players. Ooh, I hit the mic there. I might have to edit that out if that's too jarring. But it's like, so when you jump into matches against other human players, you aren't completely thrown to the wolves. You have some kind of perspective on things. And there's a dedicated campaign for each race, and getting this drip feed of units and relevant information, like, what am I trying to get at here? You cannot build all the tech structures or units in Mission 1. So you really have to just become familiar with what you have at the very beginning. Like, you are just not... that stuff's not available. You couldn't build, say, a workshop or an arcane sanctum in Mission 1 even if you wanted to. They parcel it all out. And it has this flip side where if you only care about the campaign, you get to constantly discover something new. Never ever gets stale. It also never feels like the campaign is just perfunctory. It never feels like just a tutorial. It feels like so much more than that all the time.
All right, Muradin. What were you doing up here anyway?
Well, lad, there's an ancient waygate that lies somewhere in this glacial wasteland. Supposedly, it transports you to a hidden vault where a rune blade named Frostmourne is held. We came here to recover Frostmourne, but the closer we came to finding the waygate, the more undead we encountered.
Prince Arthas, we haven't found any trace of Mal'Ganis.
No matter. He can't hide from me forever. Captain, I want you to establish this site as our primary base.
Yes, my lord.
It's 17 minutes, not too bad. Early the next morning at Arthas's new base camp.
I apologize, emissary, but the prince is away on an errand. What brings you to this desolate place?
By royal edict, you men are to return to Lordaeron immediately. Lord Uther has convinced the king to recall this expedition.
We're to just pick up and leave?
That's correct. My men report that the roads from here to the shore are held by the undead. You'll need to find an alternate route back to your ships.
To hell with the undead. We'll cut our way through the woods, man.
Captain, why are the guards not at their posts?
Well, my lord, your father had our troops recalled at Lord Uther's request.
Uther had my troops recalled? Damn it! If my warriors abandon me, I'll never defeat Mal'Ganis. The ships must be burned before the men reach the shore.
Isn't that a bit much, lad?
Burned down to their frames. No one goes home until our job here is done. Is there danger?
So Arthas continues to completely lose his shit.
Show us a target.
We'll need more men to fight our way through the undead.
I've come across a few mercenary camps up here. Perhaps we can hire a few of them.
So to start, our only controllable units are two heroes, Arthas and Muradin, and a duo of mortar teams.
Certainly.
But that sets us up to be introduced to a new mechanic, which is purchasing troops from neutral mercenary camps. They offer completely different unit types. But these unit types are available to, say in a multiplayer match, to both players. They're neutral camps, kinda. Also, you can see Avatar at work there on Muradin. I do want to go back to this point that I was making. So we're just gonna get everything here. You know how a lot of fighting games story modes, they feel like just tacked on.
I'm here to help.
They're just an excuse to play versus a CPU and get comfortable with the basic movements and the motions and stuff. Well, a lot of RTSs from this era and prior were like that too.
Where do you want us?
The campaigns were just kind of nothing in a lot of cases. And Warcraft 2 and 3, and also to an extent, StarCraft and Brood War really revolutionized that and made the campaigns important. They made them a mainstay, gave them gravitas, made them feel like a wholly important part of the game and not just an afterthought that trained you for multiplayer. I think modern shooters have this problem as well. Anything that has a single-player component where the real focus is the multiplayer, it tends to feel just perfunctory. But not Warcraft 3. Warcraft 3's campaign is just a real-ass campaign with so much thought and love and depth. It's just wonderful. I think I might be trying a little bit too hard to just siege some of the towers from the high ground. It might not be necessary. I mean, I could just charge in. And even then, because I don't have proper vision, so I have to get so close. How do they have vision onto the high ground anyway?
A sound plan.
It doesn't really matter. We'll just kind of take this. I guess at this point, like, I also want to shout out some other campaigns I kind of came up on, some other RTS campaigns I really enjoyed back in the day. So there was Tiberium Sun, which I talk about sometimes. And also another really good one was in Ages of Empires 2. But like the biggest and best were always the StarCraft and the Brood War and the Warcraft 2 and the Warcraft 3 campaigns. They were always just that extra step better, the little bit more polished. Just so fucking good. Also, this Ice Troll Priest is functionally our priest unit type, so the towers are, of course, targeting them automatically whenever they're in range. Take out the healers first. We have a pretty solid unit group going, though. Couldn't afford that one extra to fill it out. Put that ring on Muradin, since we don't really have any slots available on Arthas.
Very good. But there are still more ships to deal with.
Yeah, there we are. One more left. We'll put Arthas up in front and then get everyone moving. So this map features tons and tons of narrow corridors, which can really wreak havoc on your formations. Then the other element of this mission is that ticking clock in the upper right. So you have a total of 25 minutes before the troops are able to cut their way through the woods and board the ships to leave for home. Carrying Swarm kind of hurt. Oop. I just wanted you back. Almost sent the whole... are you gonna live? Just dodge that Carrion Swarm as well. Oh, let's get you up. Probably gonna lose an Ogre here. That's okay. They're really just meat tanks for us. Possible they're doing more harm than good, to be honest. Got skeletons in the back. That is the real benefit, though, of taking out that Nerubian Queen, is getting the Claws of Attack plus 12.
What's happening?
So we also have the plus 6 Claws on Arthas now for a total of 18 added damage. And that's on top of the Orb of Flame. And we are 2 ships down with 3 more to go. We've come across one more mercenary camp, and this time we can hire everyone at the camp. Get them going into that second unit group. And this time we get introduced to a new ability from these neutrals. Some of them have an autocast buff called Bloodlust, which is enlarging the melee units and all the others, and making them hit harder and hit much, much faster. Say overall DPS increase. We'll get that mana stone on Muradin.
Ready and waiting.
It's actually pretty handy to have all these mana boost items, or these mana replenishments,
Hammer time.
just because the Mountain King tends to be so limited on mana.
Show us a target.
But his mana is really, really good. Or his spells are really good, rather. So we're going to attack the trees with the mortar team in order to clear a path through.
Certainly.
And they also have something up here. A goblin laboratory. And the only reason this is here is in case you accidentally let your mortar squad
For the light.
die before this point.
I'm here to help.
If they didn't have the goblin laboratory there for you to purchase goblin sappers, you wouldn't have any way to deal with the trees being in the way.
Is there danger?
So you could get stuck theoretically.
For honor. I'm here to help.
But since we're doing fine, we had no need of that service, didn't need to waste gold on the goblin sappers, so we can come to this mercenary camp and get even more good stuff. Good stuff. Some more priests, some ogre maulers. Actually, no, we have no more gold for the maulers. That's fine. We have plenty melee frontliners. Extra priests, though, they cannot hurt. Cannot hurt to have those. Whoops. Speaking of which, we almost lost one.
Get it on.
Now we're fine. I think he stabilized. Holy Light's back up. No problem at all. Oh, why are you guys not joining the fight? Oh, plus we have Resurrect, even if we did lose him, but never feels good to resurrect just one unit.
Let's do this.
And again, we're just picking that up with Muradin since we have so few free inventory slots on Arthas.
Is there danger?
This part is annoying as hell. It's just a tower defense style gauntlet
My strength.
What's up?
down a very narrow
Get it on.
valley where it's really easy for everyone to get clumped together and the pathing to go haywire.
I'm here to help. Of
So if
course.
you want to take this slow, you can slowly leapfrog your way forward with the mortar teams, just barely outranging the towers and take them out one by one. We will not do that. We're putting Arthas and Muradin on the front lines to soak up the initial hits from each set of towers, and we're running straight the goddamn hell through.
Certainly.
And we will lose stuff, but we won't lose everything, and that's all that matters. It'd be nice if the pathing was being more kind, and we didn't lose any of the mortar teams, but really, having one survive is fine. Oh, and even Bloodlust in the mortar team. Look how much of a difference that makes.
Only one ship remains. For honor.
And then the other ship is pretty close. And we still have most of each unit group. So we only lost a couple of kind of low priority units. Some of the squishy casters. Not even all of them though. Which is nice. Wonder if you can hear that car alarm in the background. I hope nobody's car is getting broken into live while I'm recording this.
I stand for the light.
Looks like a bunch of our units have cripple on them, which is going to dramatically slow everyone down. Bloodlust is going to counter. Actually, does cripple
I stand for the light.
impact attack speed or is it just movement speed? I don't remember. It's been so long.
Justice shall
The bad part is I was an undead main. That's what I played.
the light is so cool.
Oh, God, I can't wait for the undead campaign. That's coming up right after the human campaign, too. Oh, yes.
For honor. A sound plan. Bring it on.
Now we just have a little bit more to go through, and we will be at that final ship inside of about 12 minutes. This is a big one, though. This is a bunch of A-bombs, necromancers in the back. Hard to get over to them to get in range to cast Holy Light and Stormbolt. Just enough to pretty much two-shiny these. Hey, helpfully moved up. Did you see that? I think the necromancer moved Oh god, Muradin's stuck behind some of the backliners. I think the Necromancer moved up to get in range so he could cast Resurrect. This is a couple skeletons though.
Justice shall be done.
And that puts us pretty much right there at the final ship. Yeah, it's a big movement speed debuff. Oh, well, as long as we have this one in range, it's fine.
Prince Arthas.
Quickly, my warriors! These murderous creatures have burned our ships and robbed you of your way home. Slay them all in the name of Lordaeron.
Damn beasts.
Kill them all!
Our ships are ruined. What will we do now?
Listen to me, all of you. There is no way home for any of us save through victory. In this land, we will stand or fall together. Now, return to the base and man your posts.
That's gonna do it for now. Thank you all for watching. Take it easy. Have a good one.